Um, we're going to talk about something that a lot of people don't really know too much about. And with us being in the investment industry and, we're preparing for our future, want to take care of our kids, we want to make sure that we're good. This is like the perfect addition to what we do. Like, this is something that everybody should at least have some type of knowledge on. Now, I know I do have some international clients. This call is designed for US based clients, but there is nothing wrong with sitting on here, getting informed, and seeing if a service like this is available in your country or in your region so that you can be prepared, right? So I want you guys to have an open mind. I have a very special person here today. Her name is Erica Rivera. She is a senior insurance broker, which means she's a big dog in the industry, okay? And she has personally helped me. So, and she made my experience with her was absolutely great. She was very helpful. She was able to get me something that worked for me and met my needs. And I actually got more than I expected. So, as soon as I had that really, like, I knew that good experience, excuse me, y'all, I wanted to share it. And I'm happy that she was willing to do that. So, Erica, I'm gonna step away. I'll let you introduce yourself, and if you need me, just let me know. I'll be here in the background.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jess, for the introduction. Can you guys hear me okay? Everybody drop in 8 if you guys can hear me. Awesome, awesome. Well, good morning. Thank you guys all for being here with me today. Just a little bit of a background about myself. As Jess said, I am a senior life insurance broker. I've been in the industry for almost 2 years now. Me and my partner collectively, we have about 57 agents underneath us. We are brokers, so we don't work specifically for a life insurance company. We actually are contracted with over 30 A+ rated carriers, which means we work for our clients. We can get you the absolute best rates out there with the best carriers, whether you're looking for term life, whole life, index universal life, and so on and so forth. I do want to leave all the questions until the end. I do want to share with you guys a PowerPoint presentation. So again, any questions that you guys have, feel free to leave them for the end, and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Give me one moment here. Hang on one second.
I was just saying I can't see you, but it probably is because you're trying to share your screen. Let me know if you need. I think you should be good. I don't think you need to ask for permission on my.
Okay, let's see. Um,
Let's see. And I'm gonna say this, you guys, just while she's getting set up. I want people to not think life insurance is about death. When I asked everybody, like most people assume that it was just like death related. There are there are so many more advantages to this. So she's gonna go over that. All right, I'm out of here.
can you guys see my screen okay? Drop a 7 in the chat if you can see my screen. Okay. I cannot see the chat anymore, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just go through this.
I got you, girl.
Okay, awesome. So again, there are so many other benefits to life insurance. If it was just about death, it'd be called death insurance, right? So your foundation for success, there are so many benefits to life insurance. This is how the wealthy get wealthier. When you hear all over social media nowadays, creating generational wealth, becoming your own bank, they are speaking about a specific life insurance policy. So again, I do want to go ahead and kind of break some things down for you just on a basic level. and then really tailor it to you guys as traders and in the Forex industry as well. So really, again, building a secure financial future for yourself and for your family, protecting your assets and savings from unforeseen events, enjoying the tax benefits because obviously life insurance is tax free. And then, of course, ensuring a legacy for your loved ones. What is life insurance? So I'm just going to read this. This is just, the generic definition of it. Life insurance is a financial product that provides a payout to designated beneficiaries upon the policyholder's death. In exchange for regular premium payments, the insurance company guarantees a death benefit to help cover expenses such as funeral costs, outstanding debts, loss of income. Life insurance can offer financial security and a peace of mind, ensuring that loved ones are financially protected in the event of a policyholder's untimely passing. All right. So, of course, we know life insurance is not cookie cutter. There are so many policies, different policies out there. There are so many carriers out there. The three main ones are going to be your whole life, your term life, and your universal or the index universal life. A whole life, you'll see this more so with final expenses, somebody buying maybe a smaller policy just so that they can cover final expenses. Term life, is just that. Term life is going to be something that lasts for a period of time. So think about it as like a lease, right? If I have a term life for, well, the typical terms that you'll see are going to be 10, 20, 30 years. I typically suggest a term life if you do have a mortgage. And Jess knows about this. She experienced something herself when it came to this. She does have a term life policy, which is great. So anybody that has a mortgage, I do suggest term life. Reason being, let's say your mortgage is 30 years. Let's say you owe 400,000 on the mortgage, right? In the event, God forbid, something happens to you during that duration of the mortgage, with the term life, your mortgage is going to be covered, which means, your family still gets to keep the house, they get to live comfortably, and so on and so forth. So term life, if it's 30 years, and it's going to last the duration of 30 years. So it's going to be protecting you and your family for that specific period of time. Index Universal Life. This is my favorite, and honestly, this is the number one policy that I sell. It is the most flexible policy. This is with the participation of the S&P 500. So not only does it give you that permanent protection, an IUL can last up to 120 years, which is huge. God bless you if you live up to 120 years. But it does also have a cash value component. And what that does is over the years, as you're paying the premiums every month, you are compounding interest on average 6 to 9%. This policy is huge. This is, again, what they talk about when they talk about becoming your own bank, creating generational wealth. You can actually borrow from this policy over time, and you can borrow from it tax free. All right. Now, the Index Universal Life, I do want to specifically touch on this. And really, again, any questions that you guys have at the end, we could really go over any type of policy. The reason why I do want to talk about this one is because I think it's most relatable to you guys as traders or in the Forex uh, realm there. So an index universal life policy is a type of life insurance that offers flexible premiums, lifetime coverage, and the potential for cash value growth linked to the S&P 500. It combines the benefits of a permanent life insurance with the potential for higher returns based on market performance, while also protecting against market losses with a guaranteed minimum interest rate. Policyholders can adjust premiums and death benefits over time to suit their changing needs. So again, it is tied to the S&P 500. There is a floor, so you never lose. Again, it is life insurance. So at the end of the day, think of it as a life insurance policy with an addition to an investment vehicle. All right. Again, so I just want to touch on a few of these things when it comes to the index universal life policy. A flexible premium. So index universal life, that is going to be the most flexible policy that life insurance has to offer. With whole life or term life, you have a fixed premium every month, and you really can't go against that. It's locked in. The index universal life policy is the most flexible policy, and we do cater to, so I know that Jess has a lot of international students as well. The great thing about it, if you have any type of US residency, there is some leverage, and there's some carriers that will take you if you have, a green card, visa, an ITIN number, and things like that. So we do have multiple carriers, that we can work our way around it. If, let's say, maybe you don't live in the US, or maybe you have some type of US residency, we can definitely work with that. I do have a partner who is going to be starting to get contracted internationally. I know that Jess mentioned, as far as Canada goes, we do have something coming up in August where we'll be able to get Canadians covered as well on life insurance. So again, flexible premiums. You can adjust the amount and the timing. So this is huge because we can structure it the way we want on an IUL policy. A lifetime coverage, it offers death benefit protection of the policyholder's entire life, as long as the premiums are paid. Cash value growth accumulates cash value over time, again, on average of 6 to 9% of compounding interest. And you can loan against the policy as well, tax free. That is one of the major benefits that people see this for, whether you're investing in real estate, whether you're trading, and so on and so forth. So this is really good, the cash value growth portion of it all. The index interest cash value is credited with interest based on the performance of a chosen stock market index, such as the S&P 500. We do strictly work with the S&P 500. I know there are some carriers that you're able to kind of switch it, but mainly it is the S&P 500. And this is without directly investing in the market. A cap and floor. So there's often a cap on the maximum interest, which is 10%. Um, and then the floor, which is 0. So let's just say, the S&P 500 might tank a year. You'll still not lose any money. You will continue to accrue the cash value. And then, just for that year, it will be a 0 floor. Death benefit options. Policyholders can choose between a level death benefit and an increasing death benefit. Well, if you are mainly utilizing the index universal life policy for cash value accumulation, the proper way to structure this is going to be minimum face, maximum funded with an increasing death benefit. I do have an example in a couple of slides to come, so I can show you guys an example of what that looks like over time. Tax advantages. So cash value growth is tax deferred, and death benefits are generally paid out tax-free to beneficiaries. I know also, aside from trading and things like that, a lot of people are taking money out of their 401k and dumping it into an IUL. So if you do have a 401k that is losing money, this is something that we can sit down and talk about, because it would be beneficial for you if you are able to get approved for an index universal life policy, that would be of your best interest. So again, the policy loans, this can, again, you can borrow against this tax-free. There is an interest rate to be paid back, typically with carriers. it will be like a 0% interest if you pay it back within, the first like 12 to 18 months. Again, this is huge, and I'll just relate it back to real estate investing, right? So if people are buying and flipping on investments, they pay that back and then, dump in a whole lot more just so that the cash value can accumulate more aggressively. So again, if you're, utilizing that portion of it just for that, let's say real estate investing or any other investments, then you would be paying it back 0% interest. If it takes a little bit longer, I want to say the typical amount for carriers is going to be 3 to 4% interest on paying the loan back. But again, this is life insurance. So let's just say you don't want to pay it back. You don't have to pay the loan back at all. It will be deducted from the death benefit. But again, it's your policy, your money, and you do not have to pay it back. Flexibility in adjusting the death benefit allows for changes to the death benefit amount, which can adapt to the policyholder's changing needs. So again, something with whole life, term life, this is something that you can't do. With the index universal life, whether you want to increase the death benefit or lower the death benefit, you are able to do so. All right. So this is kind of a visual that I want to show you guys. I just did an example for a 35-year-old female. What we want to look at here is going to be the very last section where you see non-guaranteed. So non-guaranteed, if you look, you could see year one, the death benefit is going to be $238,000, almost $239,000. Cash value or the surrender value here will be 2,000. This is actually what they can borrow in the first year. So think about this as a long-term investment, right? Typically for this, you're going to want to keep dumping money into it. And really, if you're wanting to borrow, and again, this is a monthly premium at $700 a month. So what she's doing is she's paying into the policy $700 a month. A portion of her premium is going to be going towards the cash value, and a portion of her premium is going to be towards the death benefit. What that does over time, again, she's accumulating on average 6 to 9%, depending how the S&P 500 is performing. She can borrow from the surrender value. So something to look at, we have to say non-guaranteed because that interest rate can fluctuate. But this is more so going to be a more realistic of her accumulation, where you see the 2,000. And then if you go all the way down to year 20, which is going to be the last numbers at the bottom, you see that the death benefit has increased to over $500,000, so that 511. And then her surrender value, which is what she's going to be able to borrow from the policy, is all the way up to $280,000. And again, this is just with her paying in $700 a month for her premium. Let's say you land, maybe you have an investment that you got a lot of money. Maybe you want to dump in $20,000 just to see that cash value more aggressively accumulate. You are able to do that. We just have to structure that properly, and then you'll see even more of a gain within that accumulation and surrender value over time. And again, this is just an example. The rates will increase as you get older. So the three factors that the life insurance carriers take into play when they are approving you is going to be your medical history, your age. Those are going to be the two main factors, your medical history and your age, and then your habits. They want to make sure that you are as healthy as you say you are. We do have carriers that will do a simplified issued of up to $2 million. I'm sorry, up to $1 million when it comes to the index universal life. So if we go through an application, there are some carriers that will approve you on the spot for up to $1 million on the death benefit. That's with no physical, no blood work. However, there are some carriers that are a little bit more strict. Again, just depending on your situation and which carrier we decide to go with. that will determine, some carriers may request some blood work, physical, things like that. But for the most part, if you're fairly healthy, if you're at a good age, good habits, no nicotine users or anything like that, they're going to approve you immediately. All right. And so really just some trading tips. And I got this from one of my agents on my team. He is actually a trader himself. So I asked him to just, give me some tips on how the index universal life might relate to you guys as a trader. Definitely a long-term investment. Again, don't expect to put in $100, $200 a month, and then at the end of the year, you could borrow 100K. That's not the way it works, but definitely can offset your capital gains from profits. Utilize cash value for purchasing assets while trading profits. And then, of course, everything that we went over as far as the insurance benefits go. We do have a carrier known as Ethos. I know that Jess personally has a IUL with Ethos. Ethos is amazing. They are one of the few carriers that offers a power of attorney, estate planning, a trust, and a will. And if you are really and truly wanting to create generational wealth and setting up things the right way, of course, you will know that you have to have a trust and a will set up. Ethos is one of the few carriers that takes care of all of that for you. And of course, with that, it will mitigate or diminish tax and saves your income. And really, that is about it. I know I kind of was fast and ran through some things, but I know that there was going to be a lot of questions because, again, life insurance is not cookie cutter. There are so many options when it comes to life insurance, so many living benefits, to be able to utilize this while we're still here. So I don't know if it's easier just if people come off mute and ask questions, or maybe if you guys want to drop some questions in the chat that I can answer for you.
You actually have two so far. I opened a Q&A, but they can post in the chat if they want. And my
Okay.
team, we've been conversing in our chat. Someone asked, and I think you answered this already, but just to be on the safe side, are we able to get insurance if we have a travel visa as a European?
So the travel visa, I do have to double check. I know that we have a carrier that will do work visas, but the travel visa, let me double check on that. Um, because
Okay.
I'm not sure with the travel visa if they will approve. But if you don't have, so that would be without any type of residency, right?
And I think you said you have to have like a US residency, right? I think that's what you said.
Yes,
But
some
okay.
type of, I know that again, some carriers are more flexible than others, like a working visa would work. But as far as the travel one goes, I'm gonna have to double check on that one.
Okay.
So I have not heard of that as of yet. And then for the index universal life, pre-existing condition, it is a lot harder to get approved with an index universal life for pre-existing conditions. It depends on what the pre-existing condition is. So, Brian, if you want to get with me personally, we can go over that. If we can't get you approved for an index universal life, there are other options that we can get you approved for when it comes to pre-existing conditions. I will be 1,000% transparent with you guys. The index universal life is one of the hardest policies to get approved for when it comes to our health. Um, Typically, if you're probably like 40s, 50s, and we run into things like high blood pressure and stuff like that, they're a little bit more lenient. But again, it just depends on what the condition is. There are some carriers that are more lenient than others. So it just depends. Our application process, it takes us about 15 to 20 minutes to go through. So, Just herself went through it. It was very smooth and easy. And they typically will give you an answer right on the spot. If they need more time, just looking over medical history, or if you're pretty healthy and in good shape, they will approve you on the spot. And then sometimes they'll automatically decline you due to medical history. So it really just depends case by case.
Okay, someone asked, once you have signed up, how long is it before you can borrow from your policy?
So typically, I would say, and again, this depends on how much money you're paying into it as well. So think about it as a long-term investment. If you are really and truly utilizing this as an investment tool, you're putting in $500 to $1,000 a month, then you would see, being able to borrow from that a lot faster, maybe within the 2 to 3 years. If you're paying in maybe 100 to 200 a month, I would say a little bit longer. You kind of want to wait on that, maybe about 5 to 10 years to borrow. Um, but again, your money is safe there, and those are mainly the main benefits of why. But if you, again, with Index Universal Life, it is the most flexible. So let's say right now, if you can only spend maybe $100 to $200 a month into this policy, let's say, again, you've invested into some things and you can up the amount that you want to put in, or maybe you want to just dump 10 grand in to watch that cash value accumulation be more aggressive, you could definitely do that. So realistically, again, on the cash value borrowing from it, number one, it just depends on how much money you're putting into it monthly. And then number two, I would at least give it about 2 to 3 years before you can borrow from it.
You have a couple more questions. I'm gonna go through them. I'm going through the Q&As first before the ones in the chat, by the way. It says, can you purchase an IUL for adult kids and grandkids under 18?
Absolutely. So you can actually purchase an IUL for a child as young as 2 weeks old. And you can, I mean, really any policy as young as 2 weeks old. As far as the IUL goes, they do have a few stipulations. Children's whole life, you can get up to $50,000. It is an automatic approval for kids under 18. They get an automatic approval. You can get it as young as 2 weeks. For the children's IUL, it's a little bit more in depth when it comes to the application process, but they do start them out as young as 2 weeks old as well.
Yeah, I want to say, you guys, I don't have an IUL for my kids, but I do have a policy for them. And when they turn 18, they can either cash out or they can convert it to a whole life and continue to just grow that equity and borrow off of that. And I pay $50 a month for like both my kids.
Yeah.
So I know it differentiates depending on who you go with, but I hate like it sucks because you're like buying getting insurance on your kid, but it does cover for a lot of you never know what's
Yeah.
gonna happen, and with what we spend on subscriptions and freaking buying Robux and all that stuff, like you better
Oh
buy
yeah.
them some life insurance. So
Right. Yeah. And just like Jess, I have a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old. They both have $50,000 whole life policies, children's whole life policies. I pay the same $50 a month with them combined, and it will last them till they're 18. They can, just like Jess said, they can cash out if they want to, and if they convert it into their own policy, if they want to up the coverage, even for like a $300,000 IUL, they'll still be paying like, I don't know, it will probably be under $50 a month.
yeah, because they're
And if
young.
they, yep. And so the younger you are, the lower your rates are going to be. So,
This is good. Someone said, is there a minimum age requirement for applying to life insurance? I think that pretty much answered it. But let's say
yes.
they're 16. What if they are 16 and they want to get a policy for themselves? Do they have to have their parent do it for them?
Yes. Yep. So you have to have a legal guardian. It could even be their parent, an aunt, grandchild is, or grandfather, grandmother. They could definitely have them as the owner, and then it will have to be converted. to them as the owner, like if they're 16 or 17 years old when they turn 18.
Okay, you have more,
Yeah.
girl. This is we you kind of answered this. Can you get policies to cover family members? Are there restrictions on the type of policies that you can get on family members?
No, as long as they have the authorization to do so. I have a lot of clients, let's say if they have an older parent and they want to be the owner on the policy just in case anything happens to them or whatever the case may be, as long as they are authorized, we'll need a signature in the application process for both of them. Um, but as long as they have the authorization to do so, they can definitely be the policy owner, on a family member.
Yeah, I actually have some for my sister because her kids, just to make sure her kids are taken care of, like just in
That's
case.
awesome. Yep.
Someone said, is it possibly similar to term life where we would have to complete a medical exam again after so many years? Does that make
Um,
sense?
say that. Hold on.
Is
I'm
this
gonna.
policy similar to term life where we would have to complete a medical exam again after so many years?
No, not at all. So this is again, there are some carriers that will approve you immediately. So I know like with Mutual of Omaha, just to name a few carriers, Mutual of Omaha approves you on simplified issued up to 300,000. So what that means is if you get approved immediately, you will never have to take a medical exam for the duration of that policy. And an IUL is a permanent policy, which means that you will never have to get an exam for that. Ethos is the one that we spoke about briefly as well. You can get simplified issued up to $1 million. That means, and that's huge for an IUL. That means if we go through the application process, you are as healthy as you say you are. They approve you on the spot. You are locked in at that rate for the rest of your life. And
Yeah,
no blood work, no physical, anything like that.
that's awesome. That's huge.
Yeah.
I think we answered some. I'm giving them your Instagram. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, okay.
Um, Let me see where we left off in the chat.
Someone's saying that the questions definitely like this for my kid. What about tax write-offs? Oh, good question. Can you write off a your tax insurance? I mean your tax policy. I never even attempted to do that, to be honest with you. I need to talk to my
yeah, so
CPA. I wonder if she does that automatically.
yeah, that's a great question because even when and honestly, I want to get a I haven't been asked that yet, only because like when like I just did my taxes not too long ago, but when you're getting your taxes done, they don't even ask if you have life insurance. They'll ask for like annuities, IRA, 401ks, but they won't ask for life insurance simply because, the government can't necessarily
Yeah. I'm
have
asking
anything
my
to do with it.
CPA because I just trust her. I just let her do everything. I don't know if she will respond, but if I have an answer for it, I'll let you know. And she's like amazing. I don't know if she just automatically does this. I gotta see. I'm curious. Um, but yeah, I
Yeah,
would
because
love to
I
know
mean, they never ask. Um,
when you do your taxes. I don't get asked, and I don't classify it under my medical expenses. At least I don't. When I give her my paperwork, I don't put that
yeah,
under medical. So I wonder. She's really good with this. We'll see what she says.
yeah.
But
Your life insurance policy is untouchable in the event that, I don't know, let's say you have something against you. They cannot take anything, even if you've accumulated, let's say, $500,000 within your policy. When it comes to that, I mean, the life insurance policy, they can't do anything with that.
yeah, I can tell you guys. So would I be able to get a policy over my children's father with his consent? Yeah, you can.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I see. Ethos is the best. Yes, I do love Ethos.
She said my mother's has, I think, is that supposed to say Alzheimer's or is that something else? Can she get a policy? I think, like you said, they'd have to go through the application process, right? And see.
Yeah, and depending on her age as well, if she is a little bit older, I do have some carriers that, again, they're more lenient just because, as obviously as we get older, we're just kind of prone to more medical conditions. I do have some carriers that will approve her, not on an IUL, but definitely on a whole life or final expense policy.
Cool.
Yes, that is actually that's a better way to set up the policy is making the trust the beneficiary.
That's what I
Absolutely.
have. Well, mine is under 18, so I have to designate someone for mine. So you guys, my experience with her, I had a really good experience and I did do the trust and the will. But because like pretty much I want everything going to my kids and they're underage, I had to designate someone to be in charge of that. And in that case, like I use lawyers and I use like professionals that I work with to handle that because I have like they've been with me forever. They handle all of my legalities, they handle my finances. So for me, I used my lawyer as the person in charge of that. But if you have someone that you trust, you can let them know, and then that's the person that you want to communicate that you have a trust to, like that's the person. It's not something I personally would recommend, like just going and telling everybody like, oh yeah, I got a trust, I got a will. um and you can also have bank accounts that are connected to your trust, so when you start to put more money into there, you can circulate those funds through your trust in your bank account, and that account is protected. So like let's say you have the government tries to come after you or you pass away and you owe like whatever it is, they cannot touch any of that. Like it is completely safe. So I had learned this the hard way when my mom passed away. She didn't have any of this. It was very stressful. My stepdad went through a lot and I felt horrible. Like there was like not much that we could only do so much. So I really hope that you're listening to everything that she has to say because I learned about this the hard way and I don't want any of you to have to do that. Like when we pass, we should be like, we want our loved ones to be able to grieve in their own terms and not have to be stressed with handling our debt or our expenses. And we sometimes people don't even think about that. They think that it just goes away when you die. That is not the case. Credit card companies will come after you. There is a process. You have to put out an ad in the newspaper so that they don't try to attempt to sue you if they don't respond. In certain states, I should say, you do that, and if there's no response, then the debt can be eliminated. Like there is an entire process to removing debt if you don't have this planned ahead of time, and it just sucks for the people that love you and are trying to grieve. Like I don't want to talk too much about it, but I want to instill that in your minds and your hearts and your heads. Like this is something that you can pass on to your loved ones. You can introduce it to your family members that probably didn't know anything about this, your kids. Like I had, like, literally they can use that money for whatever they want when they get older. Like whatever they want if they want to cash out. The goal is to educate them enough for it to keep on going to generation to generation. But yeah, guys, sorry.
No, you're good. And I love it. I love that you're just speaking about it because you are passionate about it. And, like you said, you have experienced it personally. And I have heard just so many stories. So it's better to be proactive about it, than not reactive, in case something happens. So, what else? There was something else I was going to say.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
so no, you're fine. Also too, so living benefits, not just the cash value portion of these policies. There are, so for instance, even with the IUL, it comes with a chronic, critical, and terminal illness riders. That means in the event that you are already locked into this policy and you get cancer, let's say if you have $1 million policy, you already have access to 80% of the death benefit in the event that you become chronically, critically, or terminally ill. That is huge. If you are unable to work, you can't provide for your family anymore, you have up to 80% of the death benefit of this policy to use while you are alive in the event that you become ill. So that is another thing to keep in mind as well, because, like I said, I think it's just educating ourselves on these types of policies. When people think about life insurance, they think about death, and it's not true. There's so many things to be able to utilize this for as we are alive. That's why they've created, the children's whole life, the children's IUL. It's also for building, them financially, so that when they turn 18, 21 years old, that they have, whether they want to put that money into college, maybe they want to start up a small business. There's so many things that you can utilize it for. Let's see.
Do
Do
you
you
work with
work?
any? Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah, to set up annuities for front loading policies. I actually don't work with any lawyers to set up annuities. We actually do them ourselves. We currently are being contracted with one of the best carriers when it comes to annuities nationwide. So we will be able to offer annuities, I want to say within the next month. So Kevin, if you can get with me, but yeah, for annuities, I'm actually licensed to do not variable annuities, but they would be fixed annuities.
These are really good questions. All right. Anybody else have a question? I'm afraid if I allow them to unmute, you're going to get a whole bunch of like crazy feedback. And I want you to be able to have this replay just in
Yeah,
case, So if you guys don't have any more questions, just go ahead and type a two in the comments. If you do, obviously just type it, but I want to just make sure you guys um, feel like you have gotten all the answers that you needed. I believe girl, this was
yeah.
amazing. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
And if you haven't, please reach out to me personally, you guys. I don't know if my screen is still sharing, but my phone number is there. Feel free to text me. You have my social media. Feel free to DM me with any other personal questions that you have. um, let's get you guys squared away on life insurance, whether it's a small policy or big policy. Like I said, this is not cookie cutter. This is very situational, for whatever your needs are. So really just here to help and answer any questions that you guys have.
Thank you, girl. I appreciate you. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
everybody, for coming on here and getting informed. Um, I I've already provided her contact information, so make sure you give her a follow, show her some love. Be mindful. She's probably going to respond to quite a few messages, so she will get to you as soon as she can. And hopefully, she's able to assist you on this next step or this transition in your life. Or if you already have a policy, maybe look into some other options that are there for you as well. But thank you guys so, so much. I hope you have an amazing weekend. Erica, thank you. You are the best. I appreciate you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right,
Bye
have a good
guys.
one.
Take care. Yep. Take care.